Peter, whatever the hatred, whatever the grievance is, I find it strange, as I'm sure you will be, that the police become the target of this hatred.
Yes, it's very unusual, particularly as I see recent events that were so predictable, and much of this really should have been anticipated. If we just rewind a couple of weeks, if we may, to Manchester Airport, I'm sure we'll all remember that, where initially we saw a police officer apparently kick a man and then stamp on his head. And then footage was later released of some clearly Asian origin men, shall we say, brown-skinned men, meting out horrendous levels of violence at Manchester Airport, all those matters still under investigation. That actually fuelled the flames of disquiet within this country, particularly on social media. And I was following all this traffic. It was astonishing. And there was so much support for the police officers in those events on social media. Then, of course, so that laid the fuse to what was to come. Then, when we had the false tweet about who was responsible for that dreadful attack in Southport, that created by a bot account and put out there, that was the spark that lit the fuse. And then how quickly things flipped, and the police, amongst other people and other buildings, yes, have become, regrettably, the targets.
Oscar, we've seen a real sort of strengthening over the weekend of the rhetoric from the Prime Minister yesterday, saying that he can guarantee that anyone involved in this will live to regret it. Courts running through the night. He was Director of Public Prosecutions during the 2011 riots. He has personal experience of all of this from that point of view. Is he doing enough? I mean, the Cobra meeting's being held this morning. A lot of people were saying, why hasn't there been a Cobra meeting already? What's your take on it all?
Well, look, I have to say there will probably be a time and space for debates about why this is all happening and, you know, the thematically, society, all those kind of issues that may have contributed and burnt up over the last, you know, few days. On the issue itself, I think Starmer... and, you know, I've come on the show and happily identified weaknesses in Keir Starmer for many months, but I think on that pure... believable policing, we will find you. Because look, this is like debased criminality. It really is as simple as that. And I think Starmer's press conference yesterday was actually half decent. And I think people should believe it. And I think people may...
Believe what? Believe Starmer?
Believe he can be quite ruthless on this stuff. When you look back at 2011...
But listen, he's got no prison places, he's got no police officers, he's got no cells to hold these places, people. It's just talk. I guarantee you there will not be the levels of arrests and detainees that
well, that's a fair point.
To believe.
That's a fair point, and I'd obviously defer to your experience as well. And that may take quite a bit of time, but ultimately that knock on the door will come because, like, you have to just. And Robert Jenrick actually, I thought, did a really good job from a Conservative perspective on Camilla's show yesterday. Criminality is criminality, and it's as simple as that. If we're a country that believes in the rule of law and law and order, then you have to come down on this stuff really, really hard.
And that's really important and interesting from a sort of... We're 4 weeks on from a general election where a lot of people who haven't voted Labour before voted Labour, and we've spent the last few years, haven't we, talking about the red wall and these people, will they be able to keep a hold of their votes? I'm told that Cabinet last week were being told that the reason people voted Labour is because they wanted law and order. They'll be very mindful of this, won't they, that they're trying to keep these voters...
Absolutely, and when a new government comes in and, you know, the intro speeches and all these promises and pledges, and then events change everything. And now this is the ultimate kind of real, as you were hinting at there, Isabel, like real test for Starmer. Real test.
Real test, which he ain't going to pass. I accept when you say that the knock may come to the door eventually, with CCTV footage and whatever. But as to actually what will be done, what will change, goodness knows. Peter.
Well, already in this country, regrettably, millions of victims of crime do not get an investigation. Whether that's your car stolen, your house burgled, phones stolen.
You're right, and this is easy political rhetoric from all of them. The rule of law, and the great word they use more than anything else is thuggery. Now, what if these people who are protesting, why does nobody, the media doesn't do this, the police don't do this, maybe they have a point about something. Will someone take them on board and say, look, we don't agree with you, we're not into anything that you're doing here, But what is your problem? And your problem surely shouldn't be with the police.
Of course, I wouldn't condone any of this lunacy and this criminality in any way, shape or form. But the fact of the matter is, what has driven this is people's concerns about two things. Number one is the rise of Islam in the UK, which concerns many, many people. They know very little about the faith, and it's very easy to go online and find statements from certain clerics that say they want to take over the UK. That's a major concern. Secondly, unlawful, unfettered immigration into this country, which politicians of different colours have repeatedly said they will get a grip of, and they manifestly haven't. Now, should you be in a pub, a restaurant, in the media, or anywhere speaking like this, the politicians will bring out their broad brush and paint you as being far right. 4 million people voted for reform in the last general election. I can overwhelmingly, confidently predict many of those millions had the concerns I've just highlighted, as did many people who voted for Brexit back in 2016 and manifestly did not get what they voted for.
But many a good point made there. But what we're seeing over the last few days does such a like when you're watching people, you know, set things on fire, smashing things up, destroying their own communities. They have nothing in common with the 99.9% of decent people who do have concerns about illegal immigration, the levels of migration to this country.
I entirely agree.
And for people, you do see it on different ends of the spectrum, the political spectrum, people wanting to conflate the two are so wrong. They are, these two groups are not the same. The decent people who think illegal immigration to this country, is. I mean, it's what both parties. It was a huge plinth of both their, electoral campaigns. They have nothing in common with what we're seeing at the moment.
But
nothing.
Also, they do have a grievance. No one talks to them. No one listens to what their grievance is, and that is a big issue.
It is, but just on the political problem this poses for Starmer, that time will come where we do need to dig over the contributing factors in society that have led to this. But this is a matter of policing at this point in time.
And as you know, with your policing hat on, I mean, I've been to EDL riots as a reporter in the past, stab vests, the whole lot. I've had Molotov cocktails thrown at me. It's totally and utterly insane behaviour, and directed lots of violence at police and the horses as well. Frightening stuff. Is arresting them, putting them in jail, facing the full force of the law going to help that situation, or are they going to be even more disaffected? I don't know what the answer is, but I feel as though actually that's probably going to perpetuate their dissatisfaction with the country.
The investigations into all these appalling events are going to virtually cripple the police's capability to investigate virtually anything else. It's really going to have a huge effect. Let me point out to people that if you set fire to a hotel, like some people did last night, arson with intent to endanger life carries a life imprisonment maximum term. Be warned.
Well, on that note, thank you both for your analysis. Plenty more from you throughout the course of the morning. Let us know at home what you think about all of this. As